Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We're going to get started in just a moment here. And I want to thank Nancy for bringing the community together once again.
You're welcome. Yeah, here we are at 12:15. So welcome to Ikaru's Lunch and Learn. Thanks for joining our educational webinar today. Anne's going to be talking. Anne is the president and founder of Ikaru, as you know. She's going to be talking about ChatGPT and AI. We're looking forward to this educational event, Anne.
All right, great. So thanks, everybody, for joining us. So it's AI for Main Street. And one of our big missions at Ikaru is to teach you more about the technology, help you get more out of the technology you already have, and also help you learn about the new technologies that you need to learn about for your business. So let's see, I got multiple monitors here. So for those who don't know me, I'm the founder of Ikaru, as Nancy said, and used to work in the semiconductor industry. I'm a lifelong technology enthusiast. Hold 2 patents, and I sit on several industry advisory boards. And one of the things I really enjoy is bringing technology to what I call the last mile of technology. It's all the small businesses that make up half the U.S. economy, and trying to help all of us be able to leverage technology better. So diving into AI, this topic has just absolutely captivated the whole world. So ChatGPT came out about a little over a year ago, but our fascination with artificial life really goes back to our beginnings and mythical beginnings. There's the Greek myth of Pygmalion, where the sculptor wanted his female object of his sculpture to come alive. And there's been an ongoing really fascination with artificial life if you think of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. So we're talking about technology, but we're really tapping into something that's actually even a lot deeper for folks. So history of AI, a lot of folks will say like AI came out last year when ChatGPT came out to the public. But you may have heard of the Turing test. So that's the classic computer science test where if a computer can act in a way that's indistinguishable from how a human would behave, that would be a sign of artificial intelligence. So that's always been the challenge. Can you tell you're dealing with a computer, or do you think you're dealing with another human? When it's indistinguishable, that crosses a new threshold. Dartmouth conference back in the 1950s, so AI has been around a long time. Marvin Minsky, they say that's where the term artificial intelligence was coined. That's probably debatable. Marvin Minsky with his book, The Society of Mind. The idea that we could model our brains and reproduce our brains has fascinated technologists for a really long time. And different types of AI, again, expert systems. Those are programs designed to solve complex problems by mimicking decision making. Machine learning, advances in computational power make it computers able to manage large sets of data. And this is work that's been going on for many, many years. Things like computer vision. Actually, my husband many years ago worked at General Foods on computer vision to analyze different coffees to see if they were on par, ready to be sold. So again, AI didn't just happen within the last year. It's been around for a long time. Deep learning, neural networks, the abilities of computers to analyze patterns in data, things that we humans would not be able to see, but with computing power, the ability to just digest enormous amounts of data and analyze that for trends has led to a lot of advances. And then what we've been seeing over the past year with the commercial launch to consumers of ChatGPT, these are models that learn from vast amounts of data. What goes on behind the scenes with ChatGPT is really fascinating. And they can actually then predict statistically what the next word is going to be. So by digesting basically everything that's out there and available, the computers can digest it. And so this is really where folks talk about crossing the chasm, where things move from the specialists to the mass market. So that's what the big change has been. But AI itself is not new. any conversations about AI, you're probably going to hear people reference Skynet. So, for those of you who remember the Terminator movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger, so in this movie, there was an AI developed to basically protect the world, but it became self-aware and concerned that humans were a threat to it, and then so it destroyed the world to save itself, basically. So that's the dark side of AI, and that's really the work of science fiction. Lots and lots of science fiction written about artificial intelligence, but that general AI with the self-awareness, that still is science fiction. So when you hear that reference, though, Skynet, though, that's kind of what people are afraid of. Like, what if the machines take over? So you're going to hear a lot of references to that in popular culture. And a book I read recently that I recommend to folks, The Age of AI. And it's written by the late Henry Kissinger, Eric Schmidt, who is a former CEO of Google, and Daniel Huttenlocher, who's now a professor at MIT. And they talk about this book as, part of our evolution. Talk about AI in here as we went from the age of faith to the age of reason, where people, lots of advances in science and technology and understanding our world and understanding the earth rotates around the sun, all the age of reason. And we're entering this new age of AI. And what I like about this book is it explains a lot of the concepts in pretty simple terms and also puts it in the context of history. And I recommend that folks maybe take a look at that book. So AI in use. So there's a lot of debate around AI. A lot of people are afraid of it, like the Skynet kind of models. People are afraid, is it going to take away all our jobs? I'm reading a science fiction book right now where set in the future, and society is in upheaval because people don't have jobs because the AI is doing all the jobs, but it's led people astray. So there's lots to talk about that. But one thing to think about, AI won't take your job, so that's not a threat in the immediate future. But somebody who knows how to do AI better, or another competitive business who can do AI better, they might take away your job or your business. And this was a recent headline from CRN that IBM announced some layoffs recently. And one of the things they cited, they had big cuts in their marketing department because they could do more work with AI. So again, that's why I really have a strong message right now that folks shouldn't sit on the sidelines. If you think, hey, I'm not a techie, I don't understand this, just dive in, learn something about it, because it really will impact kind of every phase of our lives and our businesses. There's a couple of major platforms that are out there right now. So OpenAI is the company that released ChatGPT. They also have a image creator called Dolly. So that's all available under the ChatGPT. And I'm going to show a little bit more about that later. There's Google Gemini. It was formerly called Bard. They rebranded as Gemini. So these are three free things that are out there. And then Microsoft has the Copilot. And I'll get a little bit more into that later. So these are things that you can basically use online, free, and just kind of test the waters and see what you can do with AI. There's actually new jobs emerging, or a new skill set emerging, called prompt writing. So whenever you query the AI interface, you're writing what is termed a prompt. So the quality of the questions you ask will determine the quality of the answers that you get. So, but these are all available free. So with ChatGPT, so that's the one that everybody's talking about. So what the capabilities are, it can understand language, generate text, and also generate images. So, and I'm going to show you a couple of real life examples of that in a moment. Now, the limitations are the model, because there's so much computing, crunching power behind the scenes, it doesn't have information all the way up to today's information. It's behind by, I think, 2 years. So basically has access to everything that's out there in the public domain, but not for the past 2 years. Also, accuracy of information can be a problem. There's a couple of funny things online, like that zebras don't exist, et cetera, because the the learning models learn from what's on, say, Google, and then it feeds back into ChatGPT. There's been attorneys who've gotten in trouble for writing legal briefs and with incorrect information. So you do need to check the information, ethical considerations around plagiarism, etc. And then one word of caution, and this is where something to be aware of, that everything you enter into the system becomes a part of the system. So for example, I'll show in a few minutes, you can say, hey, can you summarize this article for me or rewrite this for me? Maybe if you work in a law firm, you say, hey, can you rewrite this brief for me? Well, if it contains protected information or maybe the name of your client, that information then gets entered into the AI model. So now it becomes part of the model, and then other people could access that information. So that's something to be very aware of. You can create private instances of ChatGPT, but that's something that you and everybody on your team should be aware of. Folks have gotten in trouble for putting in source code. It winds up out there and public. So please be aware of that. The just fascination with AI, again, probably embedded into our roots, our fascination with artificial life. ChatGPT gained 100 million users in just 2 months. That's the fastest adoption of any technology ever. It just shows how fast everything in this world is moving right now. So my call to action to everybody out there, if you haven't played around with ChatGPT, you could set up a free account. If you're on the ChatGPT 3, I actually pay for the account that gives me some more capabilities, but you can start for free. And you just set up an account. So you're entering your email address, typical stuff. Just put in your email, set up a password, and then you're in. So, and this is really fun to play around with. So for example, I wrote a prompt: what are the most important ways I can strengthen cybersecurity in my local small business? Please provide a brief answer that's intended for a person with only basic technology knowledge. And I show on the example here what came back. It might be a little small to read, but this is actually really good. So this takes me just seconds. So imagine, if you're responding to an email from a client, you got to put some thoughts together. You might have the bullets in your head, but it might kind of take you a while to figure out, well, what's my opening sentence? A lot of us have had that experience. You're just sort of looking at a blank piece of paper. I don't know what to do. So this is just an example. This literally comes out of the system within seconds. I want to read over it. I want to make sure there's nothing that, professionally I don't agree with. But, opens up with strong passwords and multi-factor authentication. So I've been working in technology for many, many years. And, that's exactly how I would open up with strong passwords, multi-factor authentication, keeps security, keep your systems and software updated. So these are the basics, but it's pulling from everything: NIST cybersecurity standards, CIS controls, articles on cybersecurity. So it pulls together a whole bunch of things. But in fooling around with this a little bit, you could see in my prompt, what are some ways I can strengthen cybersecurity? So I made it a local small business. So we're not talking, multi-million-dollar budgets. And I said, please provide a brief answer that's intended for a person with only basic technology knowledge. So that's how you can kind of frame, and that's what people call it prompt writing or prompt engineering. You could tailor this. So you could, then you could go back into ChatGPT. Oh, can you make this a little more technical for a different audience, for a CISO, for example, Chief Information Security Officer? So you can actually go in there and kind of fool around with it. You could have different iterations. Some people will do funny things like, can you write it in the style of Matt McConaughey? So I would just encourage you, set up a free account. The paid account that I have, it's I don't know, it's maybe $12 a month. It gives some more capabilities and does the images, etc. But free or very cheap. I would say if you haven't already logged in and try this, you just set up an account and start fooling around with it. You don't need any technical knowledge whatsoever. You just set up the account. And looking at the quality of this, you could imagine if you're writing a proposal, you need just some filler information in there, some background, or I recently did this. We had to write biographies about some people on our team, where I had the bullets of what they've done and what the background is from like a resume, but translating that into a biography was really quick. So definitely fool around with that. But also check. This is a very general kind of prompt that I requested in response. If it were something more technical, I'd want to check it. I will say I did, for example, I once corrected ChatGPT because one of the CIS, that's the Center for Internet Security, one of the numbers was wrong on there. So it does ask for feedback as well. So if you find a mistake, you help build a better model by doing that. But I just think this is just a lot of fun. So try to spend some time. And another thing that you might want to do is maybe you have an article that you've seen and you want to just digest it into a few bullets, for example. So here's McDonald's recently had a computer event, whether it was a cyber event or not. There's more information coming out about this. But I just took an article from Bleeping Computer, which is one of my favorite security websites. And I said I just wanted a couple of sentences to summarize this. And it did a pretty good job. They had a global technology system outage affecting numerous restaurants. So it took a whole article and just very quickly came back with just a few sentences. So that's another just really quick thing that you might want to do. You can imagine, if you're writing a proposal, writing some marketing materials, maybe you need some information to update on your website. It just gets you past that blank sheet of paper. Okay, where do I begin? And then you could edit it from there. The image generator is also a lot of fun. So that's DALL-E. That's part of OpenAI. There's also other ones out there too. Midjourney. There's the Bing image creator. That's part of the whole Microsoft Copilot universe. And then a lot of other tools like Canva, which we use when we do social media posts. They have AI generators in there as well. So now not only the main front-facing tools that are out there for specific purposes, they're also incorporating some of this stuff into other tools that are out there. So again, for example, if you need to, create an image of something, well, I'll show one here. So this is kind of silly, but can you create an image of a woman with brown hair and glasses riding a unicorn, carrying a laptop with a rainbow and mountains in the background? So you could create anything. And it says, I've created this image as requested. If there's anything else you'd like to add, just let me know. So it's a very polite response as well. But you could see, again, if you just, maybe you need an image for a product description or something where you just want to work with it. So you can have a lot of fun with this as well. I did another one. Can you make me an image of a local small business with happy customers and great technology? And I thought this one was kind of funny. It came back and said, here's an image of a cozy local small business with happy customers. It's kind of interesting. They're all in these sort of lit up pods. So, sometimes a little bit strange what it comes back with, but then you can iterate and make changes to it. But this is, a very good looking graphic and lots of fun to play around with that. The other thing that you can do is text to video. So OpenAI is coming out with their text-to-video product, which is Sora. So right now you can make images. Soon you're going to be able to create videos on OpenAI. And right now it's only in the testing phase for beta users who are it's called red teaming it, but making sure that security considerations are in there right now. But soon it will be available to all. And there's another really popular one out there called Synthesia. So this you could turn text into video in minutes. So this screenshot is from Synthesia, and so there's different avatars you can pick up. So the avatar is just the person. So you could have a woman or a man, different looks, etc., business, casual, etc. And you can also upload your own image. So I wasn't able to broadcast the video while I'm broadcasting video over GoToWebinar, but I had this person then just say a sentence for me of something like, hey, I'm preparing this webinar on AI for Main Street. So I can have that person say what I want them to say. So if you have little introductory videos, this is a really quick way to make things happen because you don't have to worry about the lighting, little training videos, etc. And you can upload your own avatar as well, which is kind of neat. So if you want to make some short videos that do create a how-to, you can you could do this in just seconds. You don't need to you don't need to worry about the lighting and the editing and all that. It will do it for you. It won't say so it does a pretty good job. Also really fun to play with. You can go out to Synthesia and have a free video made. You don't need to sign up for it. And the pricing plans are really affordable as well. So we're going to see more and more of this. And what's interesting, making video that's good for a computer, like good enough for a computer or good enough for a Zoom call, technically that's not that hard. We're a long way away from being able to make videos that would actually display well, like at a movie theater on a giant screen. But for things that, like for a website, etc., and it's sort of just uncanny to watch this person say my words. I find that to be just unusual. There's also other things. I made a little video of, this is on another platform that we use called Simplified, where you can schedule out social media posts. They have a bunch of AI tools that are built in. So I just had a little fun. I recorded a little video of myself. Actually, it was an old video about the Rackspace cybersecurity incident. And I put that video into they have a whole bunch of different templates that you can use. So you can see this is kind of a crazy one with the yellow background and a giant star. But I take my video, it will do the transcript. You can correct, so it just reads the transcript for you. I don't have to type in anything. And I can also display it on the screen. And they have a whole bunch of different templates you can do. So you don't need a giant marketing budget to do stuff like this. I'm not sure the exact price of this platform. It's not very expensive, and tons of great tools built in. So if you're not kind of playing around with these things and exploring what's out there, you start falling behind. And that's kind of our mission: just get out there, be aware of it. And these are a lot of fun. It looks like you have a big production budget, and meanwhile, you put it together in about 5 minutes. So security considerations. So there was a recent article, a recent event that occurred probably in the past month, where a finance worker paid the business email compromise. They paid out $25 million. So they'd gotten a request to transfer some funds. They said, no, I'm not going to fall for that trick. They said, let's just set up a Zoom call. So it turns out that the scammers set up a Zoom call. The guy thought he was talking to his boss and the appropriate other person. So with these kind of deep fakes, somebody can make an avatar of the person's boss, and all of our images are out there, and have them say, and there's voice cloning. And this guy was a short Zoom call. He's like, okay, well, they authenticated it. I saw them right on camera, and they lost $25 million as a result. So there are all kinds of crazy scams, very big ramifications for security with AI. Again, with security awareness training, as long as you know what all the different tricks are, if you know somebody could have an application that costs them, $10 a month, and they can make a video of somebody else, and you could do voice cloning, you start to realize pretty quickly just to question everything at this point. AI and cybersecurity, kind of touch on that briefly, but there are very big implications for AI and cybersecurity. So on the defense side, a lot of the things that we implement for our local clients rely on AI, because if you've ever looked at computer logs, they spit out 1,000 line items in a minute or less than a minute. And to be able to go through there, recognize patterns, it'd just be impossible for a human to do. There's just too much information. There's too much to find. But the AI can crunch that so quickly and find things. So, for example, we have tools that will monitor if somebody, for example, logs into Office 365 or attempts to log in from a foreign country. And we'll say, okay, that's not a normal activity. So AI is really great on the defense side, finding the trends, finding that needle in a haystack, right, for security. On the offense side, it's also really powerful, and you're going to see a lot of abuse of this, like the fake Zoom call, where the person legitimately thought, okay, well, I corroborated this. We got on a Zoom call. I saw my boss. They said to go ahead and do this transaction. So AI-generated phishing emails. So with all the information that all of us have available online, for example, they could go out there and just, maybe you have something about a vacation you went to on Facebook. The computers can pull that information a lot faster than humans can. So some really sophisticated AI phishing emails are going to be out there as well. So watch out for those. So we got AI on the offense and the defense. And this is, one of the things that we would advise all local businesses to do is, this stuff is out there. So whether you might think, okay, I'm not a techie, I don't like this stuff, but what if one of your employees takes a legal brief and all of a sudden their writing production just goes way up and they're putting in confidential information into the public ChatGPT. That's a really big problem, and that could come back and that would be a breach against the company. So create some ground rules for your team. I think AI is here. The world is moving fast. There are a lot of productivity gains from being able to use some of these tools and resources that we talked about. But also, what's the acceptable way of using them? So, maybe you could add, people are allowed to generate reports, but they can't put any specific company information in there, maybe generating some marketing briefs, et cetera. So think through how you would allow people to use it. Data privacy and security, absolutely do not allow anybody to put in any protected or sensitive information. It becomes part of the public model at that point. It's basically out in the public's hands. And then intellectual property violations, making sure you're not infringing on other people's property rights. Because remember that ChatGPT pulls stuff from all over the place. So, edit it, make sure, and then also make sure that folks are checking for accuracy. It's like on the bottom of the screen in ChatGPT, it says you need to check for accuracy. And the information can be old. Folks have gotten into legal trouble over that one. This is the New York lawyers sanctioned for using a fake ChatGPT cases in a legal brief. So the AI hallucinations, it could just make stuff up, and it's well written. The grammar is good. Everything looks good. It's just completely wrong. And I'd mentioned earlier, I saw that when I was just summarizing some CIS controls. It's like, okay, that's the wrong. I think it was control 5, but it should have been control number 4, and I corrected it. But people are getting in trouble over this. So again, acceptable use policy. Make sure that folks on your team know, what's in limits, what's out of limits. The other thing in a report from this is out of Stanford University, an AI intelligence report, the number of AI incidents and controversies continue. See this sort of hockey stick going up. We're going to see a lot more questionable things happening, complaints filed, et cetera. Implications for education. So what if people need to learn how to write and put thoughts together? And how can or should ChatGPT and tools like it be used in education? That's a big question mark. It's we all have we have calculators that can do math for us. We still need to understand the underlying math principles, and then the calculator helps us save time. Same thing for writing. We need to understand the principle of putting thoughts together, and then we can use something like a ChatGPT to save us time. But there's going to be a lot of discussion around how this is used. And the other thing too is there's a lot of phrases that it's sometimes very easy to detect what was written by AI. So if you're incorporating it, make sure you're also editing and fine tuning. So save time, but it doesn't replace human thought. And another thing that's going to lead to controversy is what's real and what's fake. So we already see a lot of these in the news. Fake images of Putin and Trump. There's all kinds of fake things out there on the internet. And, if you think of how we've evolved, seeing is believing. Like that poor guy who was on the Zoom call with his boss, and his boss said, yes, go ahead and transfer the $25 million. Seeing is no longer believing because images can be corrupted. They can be faked. There's talk of putting in watermarks. So sort of digital watermarks, you could tell an image that was generated that's not real. But then again, who's the watermark's in there, but people are going to find ways to bypass it because they want to influence people's opinions. So there's going to be a lot of debate on where this goes in the future. Also, with all the advances in computing power, one of the things to look at is also digital literacy education. So, again, we're saying, hey, don't sit on the sidelines. You may not. I'm a technology enthusiast. I love everything. I fool around with all this stuff for fun. And a lot of people don't have that interest, but what I want to really communicate to folks is now's not the time to sit on the sidelines. And looking at digital literacy among students, Massachusetts, 78% of public high schools are teaching computer science, but you see in other parts of the country, in Arizona, it's only 36%. So, in this day and age, kids need to learn how to become digital natives. There's a lot of bias in AI as well, in AI-generated images. So, for example, this one said, "Show me an assertive CEO," and it's mostly white males. Show me a pleasant CEO. They're smiling, but it's still one demographic. And if you do the same exercises, and there's tools you could test that. If you say, "Oh, show me some images of inmates," you're going to see a different racial profile. Show me another one. Show me images of fast food workers. So I guess 77% of fast food workers are white, but when the images are being generated, it's usually minorities that are shown. So there's bias in AI that's of a big concern. If you look at how a lot of resumes these days from the online platforms are read by AI, and it's something really everybody needs to be concerned about. So we can sort of all be swayed by information in a non-accurate kind of way. So this is going to lead to a lot of public debate as well. And I know we got to wrap up sometime soon here. I know folks need to get back to work. I want to talk about Microsoft Copilot. So you could do text and image generation. So Microsoft on the Bing platform, you can do the things like you can do on ChatGPT. So it's kind of helpful. But the other thing with Copilot within the 365 platform, you can actually set up a license, which is kind of like putting search on steroids for everything that you have. So all your documents. So do you ever try to find something? You have to kind of play around with the search terms. Well, this is like a rocket ship in comparison. They actually put a new key on the keyboard for the first time in 30 years. There's a Copilot key. And the idea is that imagine if you could take all of your organization's information, and this is within your organization. It's not sending it out to the world, and you basically can mine it for anything. So again, that whole needle in a haystack kind of concept where the computer can go through and, for example, maybe there's a report that you come out with every year for your business. It can go in there and dive for trends that are in that information. It can look at prioritizing things on your calendar. I saw a recent post, and it's a little self-serving. It was from a Microsoft executive talking about how they came back from vacation and got little snippets like, show me the most important snippets from the various meetings that I missed while I was away, the ones that were recorded. Show me my most important tasks, coming up next. So it can tell, based on your previous patterns, et cetera. So the sort of the public-facing things are free. If you want to take it that next level and actually incorporate the AI in your own content, that's a license fee that can be attached on the 365. But this really, to me, sort of enters that sort of science fiction realm where you can really find things quickly and put things together in new ways, kind of like a real, like the paperclip guy was trying to be all those years ago. And the other thing in terms of doing that, so finding the needle in the haystack, pulling that information quickly and efficiently is a big time saver, and that's awesome. Folder permissions become absolutely critical when you enter this realm, because now all of a sudden it's very easy to find information. So there may be files that sort of kind of this concept of security by obscurity, right? Yeah, it's in there, but nobody's going to find it because it's buried under a whole bunch of stuff. Now with Copilot, you can find it instantaneously. So that's something to think about there. Again, folder permissions, uh, minimum access rules, et cetera, are always important for security. But when you make it super easy to get stuff fast, it becomes that much more important. So think about that. And future of AI, self-driving cars. Uh, Eventually, they're going to be here. There's Tesla already has some limited self-driving capabilities. If you go on YouTube, you can see some very funny videos. Hopefully, nobody's hurt, but of self-driving cars that have edge use cases that are like any human would figure out what to do. For example, cars driving down the wrong side of the street towards you. Like we could recognize that right away. The AI in the self-driving can have a little trouble with that. We're also going to see really big breakthroughs in medicine. At MIT recently, they discovered a new class of antibodies uh, uh, based on just machine learning, basically taking together all different kinds of potential combinations of things, being able to predict with the computing power which ones are most likely to become successful drugs. I'm going to see a lot of advances in health. Just recently, I was helping my son set up something. He was setting up a video server in the house and pulled together some information. We needed some specific information around the FiOS firewall. And so you could look at the manual. It's 132 pages. There's different posts, different support groups, et cetera. So you kind of look a little bit here, a little bit there. And then I decided, let's just ask ChatGPT, because ChatGPT can look at all those different things and pull them together. And really, when you're pulling together a lot of information, it's really powerful. So I'm there's going to be a lot of things about bias and concerns about privacy, et cetera, with AI. And I also think we're going to see some really amazing advances. So stay tuned, fasten your seatbelt. And, for action items, I would say this technology is here. You need to have an acceptable use policy for your business. Have a conversation with your team. What you don't want to do is wind up with a security breach because somebody thought like, hey, I'm cranking out so much more work right now. I'm so much more efficient. And meanwhile, they accidentally breached information. So have that conversation with your team. Put a few simple bullet points into a document that everybody can just agree is the same. Create that account on ChatGPT. Just get on there and just devote some time each day to play around with it. Just put a 15-minute calendar, get a cup of coffee, put a 15-minute calendar invite for yourself and just fool around with it. But, wherever you are in technology enthusiasts or not, this is going to become part of our lives, and really feel strongly that this is not the time to sit on the sidelines and let other people make decisions about what's going to happen. Just get in the game. Really easy to set up that account and just start writing some prompts and then ask to fine tune it. And you'll be very impressed with what you can do. All right. And with that, we're going to wrap up. We're almost to the top of the hour. I know folks need to get back to work. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And
Hey, Ann,
so we have
great.
AI from Main Street.
That was great. I was thinking, as you were talking about our marketing platform that we use, Simplified, I recently posted something, had to do with cybersecurity, of course. And I put a hashtag in, hashtag cybersecurity. And then I didn't feel like sitting there thinking about it anymore. So I pressed the button to give me some information, and it generated 5 on its own. And I just wanted to share the 5 with you. Team training, insurance, cybersecurity, policies and protection, security training, and cybersecurity training. So it was pretty cool. It was just a click of a button, and it gave me, all the information I needed to complete my post. So it is, quick and easy. It's a lot of fun to use, and you find yourself spending hours and hours. You really get carried away there.
Yeah, and that's the perfect use when you're just sort of stuck. I want more, but you could go out and do a bunch of research and say, well, let me just see what will the AI tell me. So that's
Right.
a really great use, and I would encourage everybody to just you don't need any specialized technology knowledge to
Right.
kind of dive into the game and see what you can do.
So I wonder what's going on now in colleges and high schools where kids can get a lot of assistance with writing essays. I know I'd be tempted to get some assistance here.
Yeah, well, because it's generated. Yeah, so the AI can also be used to tell if something was generated by AI, and college professors or high school teachers have used plagiarism checkers for a while now. So really, this does not replace human thought at all. And again, that's where acceptable use policy comes
That's
in
right. So important.
as well. The educational institutions ought to be crystal clear on here's what you can. This is acceptable, and this is
Right.
not an acceptable use. So. Yeah.
That's right. Well, thank you to our community for listening to Anne's presentation today. We appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you so
Have
much,
a great day.
everybody. We're going to
Thanks,
sign
Anne.
off.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.